On March 18th of 2022, a video was uploaded to YouTube that perfectly captures the feeling of old ghost sighting YouTube videos. This video was called Morley Grove, and it was created by RemyAdobe, the creator of the famed analog horror series Gemini Home Entertainment. Though significantly shorter than Gemini Home Entertainment, Morley Grove still provides content that is full of scares, tension, lore, and references to a certain prominent horror figure on the internet of the late 2000s and early 2010s era of the internet. And the series is only about 10 minutes in length to sit and watch for yourself. So if this sounds interesting to you, before we spoil it here, please go check it out for yourself. There will be a link to it in the description. But without further ado, let's take a look at what might be the scariest series I've covered on this channel so far, Morley Grove. The first entry, Morley Grove, opens to see a video opened on an old version of YouTube. The video was supposedly uploaded on May 15th, 2009 by a user called Superpilot Jordan. The old YouTube engine isn't the only thing that elicits nostalgia from this old version of the website though, as it also features the bandicam.com watermark at the top of the screen, a website that was commonly used to screen record back in the day. It's a nice touch that adds to the validity of the series, taking place in the late 2000s and early 2010s. The video is titled, Morley Grove Specters, Missing Kids Photos Turn Creepy. And in the description, it reads, Kids' faces in Morley Grove, Tennessee turned all messed up before disappearance. 1969, proof. Watching the video, it's a slideshow that zooms in on the various children with distorted faces in otherwise completely normal photos. Or almost completely normal photos, that is. When it goes to transition, the screen cuts before we can completely see what else it's zooming in on this photo. Slowing it down though, we see this. What's that in the left corner? It's not a child like we have seen before. It looks as though it could be an outline of a figure, but one that would be impossibly tall, as though it is watching the children from the tree row. The screen changes though, and we are met with Morley Grove Specters, audio recorded February 2007. It sounds as though someone is running, but all the while, we can hear what seems to be the screams of children in the background. The Morley Grove Specters crying out. So, by the end of the first video, we already have a few puzzle pieces to keep in mind. In 1969, a group of children from Morley Grove, Tennessee disappeared. Photos of these children taken shortly before their disappearance have their faces distorted, and looking in the background suggests that there may have been some imposing figure stalking the children from a close distance. And judging by the title given to them later on as the Morley Grove Specters, they might have become a sort of urban legend or local ghost story. And from the audio recording we can hear, it doesn't seem that these spirits are resting peacefully, crying out in fear almost 40 years after their disappearance. And of course, a YouTuber named Superpilot Jordan is uploading these videos in 2009 as proof that the Morley Grove Specters exist. Moving on to the next video, we have Birthday 2005. This opens with footage being recorded outside, jumping from shot to shot of people walking around in the landscape, but again, in the middle of what seems to be normal footage, something is off. I may be going crazy here, but once again, on the left, it looks like a figure could be standing there. Once again, impossibly tall. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but I think right here you can see its arm move. The scene changes before we can get a better look, back to the landscape and random shots, until we get here. A kid rounds the corner, but before we can see his face, the clip ends, and we are met with a slideshow. Happy Birthday, Dustin, 2005. Only the kid's face is blurred out. In fact, his face is blurred out in every photo. All of the other kids are normal, but we never get to see Dustin's face. This still in particular shows that something may be wrong. Through the light blur, we can see gaping black pits where his eyes should be. What is wrong with Dustin? Just like in the last video, the scene begins to show another photo before cutting back to the title card. And once again, if we slow it down and take a closer look, we see this. It looks like a kid standing in a park, behind a swing set and maybe in front of some trees. Though it is rough to make out what is significant about this photo now, keep it in mind for later, it will be important. And the video comes to an end. The main thing of note here is that regardless of the title saying 2005, these photos and videos were clearly taken much earlier than 2005. Also, we can assume that Dustin is the kid with the censored face, being that he's the only one on the Happy Birthday Dustin message, and there's only one kid in each photo that has a censored face, so presumably each time we see a kid with a censored face, it is Dustin. That being said, he's wearing different outfits in each photo, which would suggest that it isn't just one birthday party that has photos being taken, but several. So if these photos clearly aren't about this kid named Dustin's birthday in 2005, then why are they being made? With his face censored, Dustin has almost certainly disappeared as well, either as a part of the missing Morley Grove kids, or he disappeared in the same manner as them, whatever that may be. The next video in the series is Morley Missing. Throughout the entirety of the birthday 2005 video, the song You Are My Sunshine was playing in the background. Now, I don't know if it's copyrighted or not, and I don't want to find out the hard way, but this video seems to be in the comment section of that YouTube video, considering you can still hear the music going in the background. The comments read as follows. CoderBest17 would comment, "Is this a joke? All these photos are older than 2005. I'm so confused." Superpilot Jordan would comment, "Morley Grove Specters. IDK who uploaded this, but this kid is a Morley Grove Specter. Look up Morley Missing." Mr. Grimes would respond to Superpilot Jordan and say, "You actually believe that? LOL, sorry bro, ghosts aren't real, sorry to burst your bubble. Oh, the stupidity of the internet these days." And Superpilot Jordan would respond to Mr. Grimes, "I literally have proof. Look at my channel tomorrow, bro. I'm going to post a video that will blow your mind." Mr. Grimes would once again respond to Superpilot Jordan and say, "LOL, bro, take a chill pill. You're mad because you want ghosts to be real. I feel bad for you, to be honest, as stupid kids these days still believe in ghosts. I bet you still believe in Santa and the Easter Bunny too, don't you? LOL. So sad. I feel bad for you, to be honest." So Superpilot Jordan isn't the one who made these videos. At least not all of them. He's simply re-uploading them. The video shows the missing Morley Grove children. All of them have their faces distorted as we saw in the first video, and we are given their names and the fact that they have all been missing since 1969. Only when we get to Dustin, he doesn't have a photo attached. Just a black square, his name, and that he was last seen in 1969. And the video continues. The following accounts are a combination of phone calls, and then the next is cut off, but I believe it says direct statements. So these are quotes from people in relation to the missing Morley Grove children. T. Burke says, "My elementary school friend Pammy became a specter. I was staying with my aunt a half hour away, so I wasn't at Morley Grove. My mom was, though. She saw the Morley man." LK says, "I knew a guy who said he saw it take one of the kids. He told me it must have been at least 20 feet tall. He said that when it looked at him, it stole part of his soul." An anonymous source said, "When I was still working, we would get calls from this terrified woman who was convinced that someone was stalking her son. She was absolutely adamant, but couldn't provide any real cause for her suspicions. No matter how hard we searched, nothing came up. I think everyone figured she was just paranoid. I still feel guilty about that." Chelsea J said, "I must have been around 12 at the time. I was sitting on the couch right across from Roy. He was a couple of years younger than me. I was on the couch that sat against the main wall, so I wasn't able to look out the window. I remember I was showing him this toy truck I had, and for a second, he glanced past me, out the window. It took him right then and there. My mom was in the kitchen when it happened," she screamed. So there's something called the Morley Man that some people believe is responsible for taking the children. An impossibly tall man, not too dissimilar from the figure we've been seeing in the background of these videos. It also seems like this thing can just sort of pluck the kids out of thin air as long as they're close enough to him or look at him. They are there 1 minute and gone the next. It can either take them completely or partially, like their soul, like one user claimed. Moving on to the next video, we have Morley Drive. This was recorded on January 10th, 2010, and opens with a 911 operator responding to a call from a distraught child. Now, while we can read the responses of the child to the 911 operator, what we hear is this.
911.
Now, what the kid is saying is that there is a man outside of their bedroom. The child doesn't know who they are, and if they look at him, he will take them. So the scene changes to dashcam footage of what we can assume is a police officer heading to the house the call came from. Everything is normal, except at one point, we can see the time in the top left jump forward 1 whole minute, even though the footage didn't jump ahead with it. 2:27 a.m. Police arrive to 23 Morley Drive. Holden Dunn answers the door. Police explain situation. Dunn is confused, explains that there are no children in the household. The next video is Morley Ghost, and it is presented like a classic YouTube ghost video from the early 2010s. The camera is set up in one spot for the duration of the video. However, it isn't long before we can hear a voice coming from somewhere in the house. It's hard to make out, but if you play the audio in reverse, it sounds like it's saying, "Help me, he's here right now." A cat eventually comes into frame and stares into the room. We zoom into the darkness, and it looks like something is moving around in the corner, but it's impossible to make out what it is. Eventually, the camera pans back out and a shadow of someone or something walks by before coming back, blocking out much of the light in the room as a breathing sound grows loud. It's as though whatever is peering into the room is looking for something, though after a few seconds, it leaves. We hear a voice again, though easier than the last one. It is still somewhat difficult to make out, but it sounds like a child saying, "Help me, please," before this happens. Footsteps come from behind and run directly into the camera. That jump scare got me so bad. And the last video in the series is Birthday 2010. It opens with some more footage. A birthday cake, someone cutting it, lights or maybe even stars, a pan around the room, before the footage changes to an article. Ghost child scares couple out of home. Morley Grove couple puts house up for sale following ghost 911 call. Probably the same 911 call heard in Morley Drive. And there's an illustration of a ghost in the bottom right corner. Its face is censored, but from what we can see, it looks wrong. And behind the blur bar, there seems to be 2 black pits for its eyes. And then to wrap up the series, we get Dustin's birthday slideshow once again. The year is now 2010 instead of 2005 that it was last time. Additionally, on the opening slide, Dustin looks even worse. And the rest of the slideshow, everything is exactly the same. Except for one thing. Dustin isn't in any of the photos anymore. He's been removed from his own birthday party. And the image that we barely saw, where Dustin was behind the swing set in the 2005 video, that I said to keep in mind for later, he isn't the only thing removed. A figure from the background that could have easily been mistaken for a tree is gone too. Almost certainly, the Morley man stalking him. And we see screenshots from the Morley ghost video as well. Only in the dark room where the cat is looking into, something is censored. It keeps zooming in until eventually we can make out a face just barely in the darkness. Dustin. And the video, and the series as a whole, ends with a happy birthday Dustin message, yet again. Before we dive into the lore and story of Morley Grove itself, I think it's important to look into what almost certainly inspired the Morley man. And to do so, we need to go back to June of 2009. These photos were uploaded to the Something Awful forum by a user going by the name of Victor Surge. The original images of what would later be known as the Slender Man. This tall, faceless figure would be popularized through creepypastas, web series, video games, and eventually even have full movies made about it. The Slender Man really was the internet's boogeyman for years, but it all started here. A tall, faceless figure looming in the background, stalking children. Seems familiar. And there was text to accompany the original Victor Surge posts as well, saying, under the first image, "We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them. But its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. 1983, photographer unknown, presumed dead." And under the second photograph, the quote says, "One of two recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986. The Morley Man seems to be RemyAdobe's version of retelling the Slender Man mythos, at least in relation to those initial images and text that accompanies them. Even ignoring the visual similarities of a tall, faceless figure lurking in the background, the text seems eerily similar to what would have happened to the missing Morley kids. They were stalked by this figure and ultimately disappeared, with media surrounding them becoming corrupted somewhat as well. The Morley Man seems to trap these children in some way on the other side of life, as indicated by their cries of fear and agony, and their cries for help. He can bend time around him as seen by the dashcam footage skipping ahead a minute, while the footage never cuts. So with as good of an understanding of the Morley Man as we're going to get, what is happening in the series, Morley Grove? In 1969, the Morley Man took a group of children. They were never seen again, and would go on to become the Morley Grove Spectres. Whatever existence these kids have seems to be horrifying. Many have heard them crying out for help from the other side, even 40 years after their disappearance. I think that part of the Morley Man taking them is that he feeds on their memory as well, which can be seen through the distorted images of the children. Their faces can't be viewed normally, their memory is fading, and before too long, they may not be remembered at all. And Dustin is a key piece of evidence in this theory. Remember, Dustin disappeared in 1969 alongside the other children, and yet there is a birthday slideshow about him in 2005 and 2010. How these slideshows came to be is the only part of my theories that I don't feel as confident in as I'd like to. I think the most likely solution is that they were made as a sort of tribute or remembrance to this missing child that has been associated with an urban legend. And over time, it is being corrupted by the Morley man feeding off of Dustin's memory year after year, distorting and erasing him more and more as the years go by. Regardless, Dustin is clearly somewhat different from the other kids that disappeared and became Morley Grove specters. See, Dustin's face isn't distorted like the other kids. It's blurred, as though there is a conscious effort being made to hide who Dustin is. I believe that the Morley man is feeding off the memory of these kids, starting first with Dustin. The reason for this could be because it's clear that Dustin is trying very hard to get help to escape from the Morley man. He is the spirit behind calling 911 and is also the spirit in Morley Ghost, as confirmed by the Final Birthday 2010 video. And as the blurred photo of the illustration the couple who sold the Morley Drive house indicates, this too is Dustin, meaning that he is the main specter we've been following throughout the series. I think that in his efforts to escape, the Morley man has decided to sort of consume him first, by slowly but surely erasing him from existence. In Birthday 2005, he is just censored, but in Birthday 2010, he is erased almost entirely, with the one image we see of him showing that he looks much, much worse. And he's the only kid not to have an image on the website. The rest of the kids have been taken by him too, showing some sort of feeding of them through their distorted faces. But Dustin's efforts to escape have made him the first to be fully consumed. I think that in Morley Ghost, when the shadow that we can assume to be the Morley man is looking into the room, is when it got Dustin. We can hear him crying out and even running into the camera, somehow sort of passing through the other side of the veil that he is trapped behind to escape the Morley man. But it is likely that he either has or will get Dustin completely, judging by his near-complete erasure in 2010. It seems that there is still investment to investigate the Morley Grove specters, judging by Super Pilot Jordan uploading these videos, many of which have been made by someone previously. And that is Morley Grove. As short as it was, I think it provided a compelling story and was genuinely creepy from start to finish. For being only around 10 minutes, it builds tension like no other series I've seen. And the fact that it serves as a love letter to early 2010s YouTube, as well as the original Slenderman mythos, all while being done by the guy that did Gemini Home Entertainment, is just fantastic. I loved this bite-sized piece of horror. And of course, there have been other bigger YouTubers who have talked about this, such as Sagan Hawks and Nightmind, and they have did awesome jobs. So if you want to see someone, that's a real YouTuber talk about these, I would definitely recommend checking out one of their videos on it. But I do want to thank you for sticking around and watching this one. Once again, there will be a link to the original series in the description. I super appreciate everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff actual YouTubers ask people to do. And that's going to do it for today, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.